Hi, I'm Drew Barrymore, and I want to welcome you to episode 1 of The Making of. We really want to bring you behind the scenes of what this year-long journey has been like for us creating this show. It's been exciting, it's been scary, it's been challenging, but really, at the end of the day, it has been an opportunity that we want to realize in ways that exceed expectations. So, I think the best way to do that is to peel back the curtain and bring you in, because what happens behind the scenes, I think, is sometimes even more important than what you see out in front.
And my whole life has led to this.
And before 2020, we had been proceeding to make a daytime talk show. I don't think we were gonna fall totally prey to pitfalls and trappings and tropes and cliches, but I feel like the show we were making then probably does fall in that category. And because it is our responsibility to meet this moment, it was the how that was challenging.
But it's like the control room is so fun. Because you can control things.
Well, you know, I like them all controlled.
Oh, I love
For like halogen or a can light on top of the head. Thank you, Mitchell, so much.
I also realized that with a certain amount of money and a certain amount of time, you go on this sort of roller coaster ride to accomplish something, and you're working with new people and you're all getting to know each other, and everybody's working, you know, at 1,000 miles an hour and trying to hit every cylinder, and you're high-fiving and you're staying late and you're communicating a lot. I wanted to have a lot of group meetings so that everyone was on the same page about what the tone was. As soon as it was over, I needed to know it would get us over a finish line to make the show we were really gonna make.
And then it'll either be 4 and 5 or 4 and 5. Okay, thank you, Jerry. Jerry!
Yes, the sales tape is an audition.
It's been a very unique life, and yet 44 years into it, I feel more alive and more appropriate for this job than ever. I started working when I was 11 months old, and I pretty much raised myself. Sometimes for worse, sometimes for better. My journey in life hasn't been perfect, but the liberation of that is not having to pretend to be perfect. I know what it's like to be on the other side, so I know exactly what to do with my
You're
guests.
also killing yourself at 1,000 miles an hour with a group of people, not knowing if it's gonna work. And I've been auditioning my whole life. I associate rejection with a filet-o-fish, because every time I didn't get an audition, my mom would take me for a filet-o-fish. You'd think that would be demoralizing, but it's kind of like the underdog, and you get even more voracious about going, you know what? We have to make this work. And even if we're just trying to figure this out and get it done, and we know we'll do things different in the future, we have got to make this work or there is no future. I have flown all over the country. I've met with every single sales team. I've met with most of the station groups. So everyone was calling me, congratulations, and I would have to say, it's not a done deal, which just was so awkward, but it wasn't. We'd all flown down to Miami, and Armando Nunes and Steve Locascio, who had become wonderful supporters and allies and champions of this. And we had had so many dinners and so many meetings about, is this gonna happen? They ordered a gorgeous bottle of wine, and that I couldn't drink, because once they said that it was official, I basically was running back and forth from the bathroom having one of the biggest panic attacks I've ever had in my life. I can't really explain it. I was joking with Rich Cervini. I was like, I've just been the lucky recipient of being a part of a talk show, and I can't talk, Rich. Like, they're gonna fire me the second they hired me.
It's official. Drew Barrymore will host her own daytime talk show. It's slated to launch in the fall of next year.
Who's coming to daytime television? Okay, girl.
We're a full service operation. I have so much work every single day to figure out and reinvent and re-spark that fire and just get down to what is worth being on the air. What are people going to respond to? And yet, you cannot think anyone's watching. Basically said, we as CBS, you will be working here. This will be your soundstage. And you will get the privilege of being in these offices right across the street. And when I walked in the office, I just started to cry because I totally had my working girl fantasy. And there is something about a desk that seems like this grounding block of concrete that doesn't weigh me down, it anchors me. Because my whole life in work has been so transient and so liberating and so like much of what made me like sort of a fluid person that I am. I think I was always looking for that anchor. And somehow the metaphor of a desk really felt like this anchor that I would never ever have. I am excited to not play a character, to just get to be me. I'm excited to take all the things I've learned along the way and apply it to this new job where I do get to be myself. And I know that I continue to be so lucky and fortunate. And I'm never gonna take this room for granted. I mean, cue the Carly Simon music. This is my office. This was on the window. So these will be all the producer offices. This room is really special to me because this will be the executive producer's office, who's really our showrunner, Jason. Kind of how I see this process is I hosted Saturday Night Live for the first time in 1982 in New York. And I remember being in the offices. In Monday morning, you go in and you sit in the office. It's usually Lauren Michaels' office, and all the cast and the writers and everybody sits on the floor. And Lauren sits at his desk, and it's a small office. It's not bigger than this. It might even be smaller than this. And everybody piles in, and you all feel like puppies together. So when I saw this room, it just made me think of Lauren Michaels. And Saturday Night Live really is a training ground for me. And it's so community, and it's so personal. And like I said, you just feel like a pile of puppies. So this will be our Lauren Michaels' office.
The World Health Organization says the risk of the virus expanding worldwide is now classified as very high.
Bright lights of Hollywood are dark, and the impact is epic. Here's CBS's Jamie.
But then that all changed. And all of a sudden, I was positive that this was not going to happen again in the second week of March. And I understood that. I mean, anyone who can see what was happening in the world and was going to be like, oh, this show isn't going. It's like, oh my God, shut up and get some perspective. Are you kidding me? We're in a pandemic. So I felt weird even feeling sad or bad or trying to mourn something that I didn't believe was really going to happen again. As soon as it said, like, this is official, we got knocked off our feet again, as everyone did. So then you're kind of working again like in that sales tape mode. Like, I think I might be putting so much into something that may never really happen. But we did, and we kept going.